Hello, peoples. It's time. Tonight we are doing another in our long line of Kindred. I use that word loosely when referring to this particular brand of vampire. But tonight we will be discussing the Kwai-Jin. Really interesting, as far as Kindred are concerned, these guys seem to have it over them, as far as a one-on-one fight. And that's just I've never actually seen anybody play one, but my research. So, I want to welcome our guest tonight, returning to us, Donnie Hanby. Say hi, man.
Hi.
And, of course, Jason. Say hi, man.
Konnichiwa, bitches.
Konnichiwa, bitches. That's awesome.
Well, we're doing a Kindred of the East.
That's right. That's right.
So I may as well be culturally appropriate.
Yeah.
That was not kawaii, Jason.
It was all right.
Well,
he might lose a point of dharma.
Cocky.
Yeah. So, and of course, my lovely co-host, Brother Jacob, who's just recently recovering from a bout of nasty.
Good evening, and hajinamashite.
Mm-hmm. So, let's just jump straight in on this. Jacob, all you, man.
As always.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to start off that because you've pointed out, like, Kindred of the East is something that I actually really enjoy in the world of darkness, and take whatever opportunity I can to play or incorporate it into games that I play when I can. It is a controversial game because there seems to be a very strong division between World of Darkness fans on whether it's a cool idea or it's a shitty idea. And a lot of times it's due to how the cultures are represented, how they try to cram lots of different concepts into one thing.
We've mentioned that once or twice.
Yeah, and that's come up in some of our shows already too. Now, my counter argument on that is I actually find that on pretty much any game in World of Darkness. Jason's from Europe and has Romani history as well. So, I mean, the way our ancestors on that bloodline are represented, it's not always been done very gracefully.
Yes, I'm looking at you, World of Darkness Gypsies. I really hope Can I just say, just offhandedly, I really hope that they were kidding when they were saying that they were going to remake that book.
No, they weren't kidding.
Oh, God.
Where it is.
But even like going through the Dark Ages book, a lot of the European history and concepts for the Kindred and Cainites are done through an American lens. And I was thinking of this actually when Victor and I were in a conversation about the American Gods show coming on, because he was
good show, by the way.
He was commenting on how it was obvious to him that the story was written by somebody who wasn't American. And not being American myself, I never picked up on that. British guy writes a story about American concepts. I loved the novel. I did, I'm Canadian. I have no idea what American culture, I just know how it's presented, right?
I've never actually read the book.
And I think that's going to happen anytime anybody tries to represent their own culture. They're going to gloss over some areas, or they're going to focus on some areas, and they're going to shortchange the others. And I think it's really important that when you're going to delve into something, whether it's a game or a novel or whatever, that you do you do research on it. Like the Kindred of the East books have a really good starting point for the cultures involved. But if you're going to do a Kindred of the East game, pick a setting and then actually do research on it. If you're, like myself, I had first joined as a player and then as an ST, a game set in Kyoto. Well, I researched Japan, I researched Kyoto, and I mean, Japanese culture and history has already been something of an interest of mine. And no, contrary to popular belief, not because of anime. But I refreshed myself on these concepts and these histories so that I could try to incorporate a little bit better and do a little bit more justice. So I think to properly do a Kindred of the East game, it does take a little bit more work than just cracking open the book, going to page 300 and running with it.
Yeah.
But I think that extra work helps bring it to life and is something that maybe we should do more often on any setting or any game.
Agreed.
Oh, most definitely.
Well, that was a thing that White Wolf had, which was it was all colored in an almost jingoist attitude with everything they wrote. It was done through, as you said, an American lens, a very myopic American lens. That's why it wasn't really Kindred of the East. It was Kindred of China by somebody who's only watched kung fu movies.
Ah, yes.
I suppose that can be, though. I mean, this is just taken in from my own personal perspective. Yeah, the core book does have a few jingoisms in there, and the majority of the content in there is Chinese orientated. Though one could at least in canon anyway, you could argue
Well, the term Kuai-Jin is...
Well, the term Kuai-Jin is actually...
Is Japanese.
It's
both.
Actually, no, it's...
Yeah,
it
Chinese.
doesn't. The Kuai-Jin doesn't exist. No, you're using the Cantonese, I believe, word for ghost, Kuai, and using the Japanese suffix Jin for people, ghost people.
Oh, okay.
For the actual Kuai-Jin or whatever.
Wanxiang.
You'd get them in China. They'd probably call themselves Ban Kuai. They'd probably call themselves Wanxiang or whatever.
Wangqiang.
Wanxiang. In Japan, they'd call themselves Gake. There's literally, in some places they might call themselves Jiangxi. It depends entirely on where exactly your setting is based and what their particular language is.
Yeah. Okay.
And also depends entirely. We can also go into. We'll talk about this later, but it's also reflected in the dharmic focus because each of the dharmas that the Kindred of the East, the Kuai-Jin, have. For me, I've always seen them as kind of like vampiric reinterpretations of traditionally Eastern religions. Like I've noticed some similarity between the Song of the Shadow or the Bone Flower Path and traditional Japanese Shintoism. I could go on further, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, as I was going to say, the core book as a whole, it represents the entirety of Asia. Now you're talking about an entire continent that has literally hundreds of different languages and cultures, each one distinct and unique, and has their own customs and mannerisms and everything like that. It's exactly the same as if you were for example, making Kindred of Europe. There's literally over 200 languages and cultures in Europe. I mean, far be it from me to be able to list the entirety of them in the space of 2 hours.
Yeah, right.
For me being British, there is a lot. Whilst there is some similarities between, for example, someone who is British and the culture that someone with a similar language. As much as British people rag on the French, we're almost exactly the same. The only things that change is slight culinary culinary things, slightly different as a history, our flags, and also our language. But besides that, we're completely the same. By contrast, someone from France and someone from one of the Eastern European countries, like Croatia, despite the fact that they're both, traditionally rather Catholic, Catholic countries, they have completely different values, completely different ideas of how to view the world. That's mostly due to their respective histories. It's the same thing with Asia. Chinese history.
You got 10,000 years worth of history just in China.
And it's never China up until the last century or so. It's never ever been a unified country. You always had You always had Macau. You always had
Hong Kong and Tibet and the Uyghurs and the
Yep. There you go.
Well, just mainland China itself was consisted of like 7 different nations at any given point. And even then, they didn't even have a consistent language.
Which is kind of why the CCP now mandates that everybody learns Mandarin. But that's, there are still a lot of places where the native language still is predominant in those particular provinces.
Oh, for sure.
And also, unique to the Kindred of the East, mortal prejudices, they don't just disappear when you take the second breath. For the European Kindred, as soon as you are embraced, it seems like everything, your nationality, your gender, it kind of like got put on the wayside compared to who you were, your clan, who embraced you, whatever. With the Kuei-jin, if you died and took the second breath in China, at some point where, shall we say, people from another country weren't viewed at in a particularly flattering light. It's 2 o'clock in the morning here. Excuse me.
Yeah, we appreciate you staying up late.
You're probably going to continue to have those prejudices, unless, of course, time goes on. Time can heal wounds, but the Kuei-jin can be just as stubborn, and they can be just as stubborn as their Western counterparts.
Well, yeah, and some of the dharmas focus on breaking those society norms, and some of them focus on upholding them. So you could actually be in a situation where you're stuck supporting a social construct where you're treated like crap because of the mortal caste that you came from, but to you, that's the way it's supposed to be. So you're like, treat me like crap because that's the way it's supposed to be, and I will support and help you treat me like crap for the rest of my life.
like the caste system that used to be in India.
Yes.
Yeah. And still technically is, but it seems to be going out of fashion.
Yes.
There seems to be transitioning to a more secular.
I think the Raj period had a lot to do with that. Just so you know.
Definitely.
And one of the things that I did notice in my research for this show is that Kuei-jin they're closer to mummies than they are kindred.
To some extent.
Yeah, they're
pretty much closer to risen, though. I mean,
the only real connection they have to kindred is the fact that they
drink blood,
gain sustenance from drinking blood. And even at higher levels of enlightenment, they don't even have to do that anymore. So,
which is like Golconda, essentially, for them.
Kind of, but,
Kind of, but it's not as... It's a lot easier to get to.
Oh,
okay. So Golconda is this rare thing that
nobody talks
brought
about.
back, and enlightenment, and basically... Somebody somewhere did it, and so you might be able to, but it's up to the ST's hands. Whereas the Kindred of the East, their elders all pretty much don't drink blood anymore.
Yeah, they can just absorb chi.
From a dharmic standpoint, when you first take the second breath, your only means of being able to gain sustenance is through eating.
Eating flesh, yeah.
And that has to be human beings. It can't be animals. Though they do sometimes eat them out.
What's the kindred equivalent? Nagaraja.
No. When you first take the second breath, you're pretty much like a feral vampire, like a Humanity 0-1.
Yeah, all the time in frenzy.
Once you are civilized, then you get the ability to drink blood, and that continues on till about, I think it's Dharma rank 5.
Yeah.
And then you can breathe chi out of people.
And then when you get to level 6, you can actually take it.
It's 7, I think.
Is it 7?
Yeah, 7. Definitely 7.
That you can just take it straight out of the land. You can just absorb the dragon nests and
ideally a dragon's nest. Yeah. Which is basically kind of like the equation equivalent of a Karen or a node.
Yeah.
They're quite very sought after.
Well, we're about 15 minutes in. I want to say hi to our folks that are in the channel. Sound off if you haven't already. Let us know who you are and what brought you to this. And if you have questions, please. New Wave, he's good for a question or two. He's always fun.
What about you, Peter? You're the...
Well, I'm getting my questions answered as we go along.
Okay.
No, honestly, yeah. You guys have already settled 4 or 5 by now for me, and I'm getting ready towards most of the the dharmas. That's my big issue.
All right. Shall we go to the dharmas then?
Well, not quite yet.
Oh, what do you got, Donnie?
I'm sorry, I just went on something. Peter, you did mention this right in your intro. Yes, a Kindred in a one-on-one combat.
Yeah.
A similar XP Kuei Jin.
It's going to eat him.
Or would wipe the floor with the Kuei Jin. However,
other way.
The Jin sheer number of disciplines and the abilities they have with the disciplines makes them far more capable of doing things than a Kindred ever could.
I will actually, I'll dig up and I'll post the links. Gentleman that we know that I've actually played where he's posted on some of the Facebook groups where he's done simulations with fights. And
Stuart, I know that guy.
Yeah, I got to see how he does that.
So he has done simulations of Kuei Jin versus Kindred, and at the lower levels, Kindred comes out on top. At the higher levels, it kind of becomes evenly matched. The reason being is that Kindred Knights can boost their physical stats by spending blood.
Yeah.
That is a rare gift for Kuei Jin. They have to have specific disciplines that let them do it, and therefore lower level, lower powered Kindred have that much of a combat edge on them simply because they can they can just go nuts with boosting their physical stats and beat the shit out of somebody.
But the fact that a Kuei Jin, even a starting Kuei Jin, can go, yeah, so about this whole fight thing, fuck all y'all, I'm going to the Umbra.
Yeah, y'all, I'm out.
Or if you're laying siege and the Kuei Jin's like, that's fine, I will just spend 1 chi every 10 days, let's see how long your blood supply lasts.
Right.
And in some of the more extreme cases, obviously they need certain disciplines and certain circumstances to work out. They could actually go there during the daylight as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not for very long, but they could do that.
Yeah,
they need to worry about it.
I assume it does aggravated damage or whatever the equivalent
here's
is.
The thing about Kuei Jin. Whilst the Kindred, when they're exposed to sunlight, they burn and they take aggravated damage. For the Kuei Jin, they rot.
Oh.
But there are ways to protect against them, and those who are more in touch with life energy actually can sustain direct sunlight for limited periods of time without taking any damage at all.
Yeah, it requires certain imbalances to be made, either artificially or through disciplines, or through yang imbalance or anything like that. But it can be done.
We're getting there in just a second.
There are, however, drawbacks to both yin and yang imbalance, as well as like soul virtue imbalances. But we'll get that later.
Well, no, that was what I was going to get to next before we get to the dharmas. Is the 4 virtues: yin, yang, hun, and po.
So, would you like me to first give you a quick comparison with kindred virtues?
Sure.
Okay, hun would be your humanity. Po is basically the strength of your beast. There's not really a virtue that you can compare it with. Yin is your self-control, and yang is your courage.
Okay, because I'm seeing something different here.
Because that's kind of when you would use those. So, yang, you roll yang to be able to resist the fear of fire. for instance. You would roll yin to be able to control your Po so you don't go into frenzy.
Okay.
And hun is basically how virtuous your human.
Yeah, intellect and noble action, as it's listed here.
And your Po is your beast, and it is sentient and crafty.
Oh, like the shadow for the wraiths.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's why I said it's your angst, basically, because...
Oh, there you go, yeah.
Yeah, your Po is a living thing. It's a part of you. You can't escape it. It wants to do nothing more than to tear you down. It even has its own nature.
Yep.
Violence and negative emotion.
Yeah, negative emotion is more the focus than just violence. If your Po doesn't necessarily have to be roar, 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 smash, smash, smash. It can be like, yeah, you failed. You failed just like you failed that last time, just like you're going to fail again because you're nothing but a lowly failure.
Oh, like what's that comedian who always talks about his inner retard?
Christopher Titus.
Yes.
Christopher Titus, there you go, yes. So that is an actual personality you can select for your Po that he will sit there and lecture you about how much you suck when you fail at stuff.
Yeah.
And
That could be fun.
if he takes control, he will put you in situations for you to be punished for your failure too.
Oh, of course.
And of course, there's also some other archetypes which are basically just trolls, as Jacob will tell you.
Okay. Well, let's move on here to the five dharmas. Let's start with the Grand Arhat Shu.
So, so first,
Which, funnily enough, actually means blood.
5 core dharmas.
Yes.
Yes.
Because
They're
there
like
are
nothing.
so those are basically the 5 dharmas that the Chinese Kuei-jin have approved. There are also alternate dharmas that they consider heretical in nature, but you will find in larger numbers in different parts of the realm. So, like a couple of them you will find in Japan. Some of them are. One of them is very strong in India, but the 5 main dharmas from the core book are the ones that the Chinese courts have decided are prim and proper enough for people to follow.
You want to give a quick rundown of them?
Let's talk about Grand Arhat Shu if we can.
Okay.
Basically, he wasn't the first Kuei-jin, most likely not, but he was one of the ones who codified all of the orthodox dharmas, at least what he referred to as the fivefold way. You know, kind of like our lotus flower opens up into five different directions, including the one in the center. And all of the dharmas are centered around his own experiences, according to each of the virtues which we mentioned.
He had traveled the roads for all 5, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, he was like Buddha more than he was the progenitor.
Yeah, vampire Buddha, as you would call it. Funnily enough, his name Zhu is actually the Chinese word for blood.
Is it?
Yeah.
And you can switch dharmas too, so he isn't unique in the ability to have done that, but
he was the first to do it.
Well, I don't know if he actually did, or just all of the ancestors of the 5 dharmas all wanted to claim him as having followed their dharma.
Kind of like Cain. Gotcha.
Kind of altered the legends so that they all got the chance to claim him as one of their own. You know, kind of like how everybody wants Dracula to be of their clan.
Yeah, but he's Samishe.
Or how every single splat wants to claim Rasputin.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to mention.
That guy would make a really good Malky, though.
He was, as well as a Tremere, as well as a Barley, as well as a Ghost.
I just think he's I just thought it was more like
broader.
How close to Mongolia was he? Maybe he took the second breath too.
Yeah.
Possible.
Okay, let's start in on the dharmas now. Let's do it in, it's not listed in alphabetical order. We'll fuck the dumb shit. Devil Tigers.
The Howl of the Devil Tiger, the Poe Dharma. For this one, I've always kind of viewed this as kind of like as I said before, all of the Dharmas are kind of vampire. To me, they're vampiric reinterpretations of traditional Eastern faiths. But this one, it seems to take bits and pieces of Taoist and Confucius, and in some cases Buddhist ideas of life, and basically it centers around the concept that the Yama Kings, kind of by comparison you could say that they're kind of like the Malthians of the East. It centers around...
Yeah, that's been brought up before, actually.
Yeah, it centers around the concept that the Yama Kings are corrupt, and they have failed in their station, and that you, having taken the second breath, now need to learn how to embody evil. Not just like, you can't, not just like walking down the street, with a machine gun and like shooting anyone that you fancy. Anyone can do that. Anyone can be a madman.
Yes.
It takes genius, and it takes dedication, and it takes true enlightenment to a demon. Sometimes that means you will have to build up people. You'll have to be a saint in some cases, and then you can pull the rug out from underneath them. Other times, it means that you have to find evil. You have to find evil, and you have to punish evil. You have to punish it in a way which shows them that they really, really don't know what evil is.
What's this about replacements for the corrupt demons of the Thousand Hells?
Basically,
the Yama Kings. They feel that they are the ones who are supposed to be warning mankind by example in showing them how to act saintly. Like Jason said, if somebody's being evil, you punish them to show them what evil truly is, and either destroy them or send them packing to live a more saintly life. The Yama Kings, that was their original purpose, and they decided to fall to corruption and abuse their power. So now it is up to the Devil Tigers to take on their responsibilities.
You do get the stereotype of, just someone who's just being, wahaha, twirly mustache type evil, but those ones don't last very long.
No. Well, because part of the thing is
the scorpion eaters.
Yeah, we'll get to that list.
We'll get down there in a minute.
So with the dharmas, one of your virtues, or for the heretical dharmas, two of your virtues, are what you're rolling to see if you can gain enlightenment. And part of the risk with being a devil tiger is you're rolling Poe against your Poe to see if you can gain enlightenment. So the very thing that can take you away from enlightenment, the very thing that can sidetrack you, undermine your efforts, destroy you, is the very thing that you have to feed as part of your enlightenment. And that's why those that are just, two-dimensional bad guys don't last, because their Poe takes them over and just
they frenzy.
They get wiped out.
Yeah.
Think of it kind of like riding the beast, riding the beast for Kindred. Five paths of enlightenment, sabbat paths of enlightenment, for example. But obviously, in this case, you need to be tempered with your heart, which is where the saintly part comes in.
Yeah, the eschatonic fanatics and judges of righteousness is what it's... Okay. Let's move on to the resplendent cranes. Now that's a name, buddy.
Yes, the way of the resplendent crane. These guys, they see themselves as being kind of the judges of the Middle Kingdom. They maintain traditions. They maintain the structure, the basic fundamental structure of the Middle Kingdom, not just like social structures, but also the idea of like an ultimate form of justice. In contrast to the Devil Tigers, they don't seek to like punish evil by, showing that, they are evil, though some of them sometimes do. The idea for them is to basically they're supposed to be the maintainers of. You could say that they are one part humanity and one part honourable accord, if you want to use a Vampire the Masquerade thing.
Thank you, because that seems to.
Yeah. Yeah, all right.
most of the folks that will listen to the show most likely will have played vampire more often than they.
Okay, in that case, think of the Devil Tigers as being kind of like Path of Night. In that case, so yeah, for the Resplendent Cranes, to get back onto them, they're focused mainly around maintaining traditions and maintaining the structure which governs all of the Middle Kingdom.
Turning the wheel of ages.
Yeah. Yes.
Donnie, you got something you want to add there? Or Jacob?
No, yeah, as far as Devil Tigers, as far as Resplendent Crane, yeah, they always reminded me of just the stuck-up philodoxes for those who have played Werewolf, or the Ventru for those of a more Vampire the Masquerade bent. They always sought to be, no, we know better. We know best. Just follow us, do what we say, and
everything will be cool.
Or if you want to use a Marvel comics comparison, think of the Devil Tigers as Frank Castle, the Punisher.
I love him. Wearing a Punisher t-shirt right now, by the way.
And think of the Resplendent Cranes as Daredevil.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
The thing about the Resplendent Cranes is that, unlike the Devil Tigers, or at least traditionally anyway, the Resplendent Cranes are capable of mercy.
Yeah, instead of just being all about punishment.
And are expected to show mercy.
Oh, there we go. Zanalo, proper name for Chinese vampire would be Shishu Gui.
Yeah, Shishu Gui.
Yeah.
By the way, my pronunciation, since I've been watching China Uncensored on YouTube, my pronunciation for at least Chinese has gotten way better.
I've got a conversational Mandarin set, but I'm still working on Nihonjin. So I haven't gotten that far in Chinese pronunciations.
As far as I'm concerned, I had a Chinese girlfriend once.
Well, there you go. That's the best way.
Yeah.
For me, I'm actually of the aforementioned. I watched way too many kung fu movies as a kid, and not all of them were subtitled.
All right.
So when I see a Chinese word spelled out, I can go. It's pronounced like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's how it's pronounced.
Fucking
But Shunbo, quit making fun of me.
Okay, how about the Thrashing Dragons?
my favourite.
Jason's all over that.
Yes, I'm all over that.
From what I've seen and what I've read, because I've never gotten a chance to play one, and no one's ever actually played one in a game. Weirdly enough, they give in to pleasure.
Oh, very much like the Cult of Ecstasy.
You've just been watching the fucking things that I've been doing with Jacob, haven't you?
Right.
Just kidding.
TMI, yo.
Right. To bring back into the comparisons, you could think of the Dance of the Thrashing Dragon as one part Path of Cathari and one part Path of Harmony. And to use the Eastern religion comparison, it's kind of similar to perhaps the tantric practices of Buddhism, and also some of the more animistic practices of various, Southeast Asian cultures. Yes, on one part, it is the Dance of the Thrashing Dragon, a Yang focused path. It focuses mainly around the experiencing life in all of its colours, both good and bad. It means going out, there to clubs and snorting and drinking everything in sight, and finding some mortal and doing squidgy things with them. But it also encompasses, you going out there and taking risks, like going into that same, opium house and like saying, telling the Oyabun in charge of the whole place to go get knotted. and then like diving through one of the windows is like he says, F you, and start shooting at you, and you start doing like some sort of weird like John Woo type dive across the room like with like a handgun in both hands,
Yeah.
And go like no and everything. It's basically that, but it's also experiencing the worst of life as well. It means suffering. It means suffering from diseases. It also means having a child, raising a child.
Yeah.
But there's also more. You can't just take from life. You have to give back to it. One of the mantras of the Dance of the Thrashing Dragon is take a life, plant a forest. In which case, you have to cultivate life, bring people out of their shell, as me and Jake did in in the game that we were part of. It also means getting people to live their lives. Don't let people live half a life. Don't let them just exist. Just let them do stuff with their life. Let them live. And eventually, if things don't work out for them and they do something stupid, like they break their neck when they're on a motorcycle, then well, you lived your life.
Darwin, party of one.
Yes.
You mentioned
they'll
John.
also. No, you go.
I was going to say you mentioned John Woo, and then you mentioned children. We are eventually going to have to talk about Dampier and Joss.
Yeah.
Yes, we will.
Yes,
We'll put that near the end of the.
Yeah.
But they also will not just human life, but all life. So they'll go and spend 5 years living in a forest or on the top of a mountain, and they would have to find ways to get food because they can't feed on animals, but they would want to interact with nature in all forms. And also on the subject of taking a life, plant a forest, they actually have a ritual that they do that if they kill somebody or cause somebody's death, they basically do this little ritual where they apologize to the spirit.
Ah, now the Thrashing Dragons. You guys were mentioning, John Woo and the lead actor and director for Shaolin Soccer. That's the impression I'm getting, because the guy's just going around trying to make everybody's life better, and nobody gives a shit until he does it.
That actually would be a very good Thrashing Dragon concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, good sir. That's the second broadcast that I've been on where I've got another concept to put on the bucket list.
Yeah, right? Okay, well, have we covered everything for the Thrashing Dragons?
Yes, pretty much. I mean, we could go on to like loads of stuff, but we'll say, okay.
Alright, moving on to the Bone Flowers.
That would be, they'd be like Cappadocians on the path of death and the soul.
Yes, exactly.
But at the same time, they see themselves as guardians of ancestors and guardians of their descendants. So they
Hence the
tend...
comparison to Shintoism, as I mentioned previously.
Yeah. So they will tend to the spirits of the dead, but they will also follow their own descendants. Actually, the Dharma book for the Bone Flowers, the little thing at the beginning, is the iconic Bone Flower character. Her great-great-great-granddaughter comes to her for help because there's a monster preying on people in their neighborhood, and she comes and deals with the Akuma that is responsible. So while they don't interact with mortals as well as the Thrashing Dragons, they still feel that they're responsible for making sure that humanity is watched over.
We got a question from the peanut gallery. What if it's possible for Western people to become Kwaijin?
There is there is a way. If you get access to San Francisco by night, it goes into a little bit more detail. That's just basically a little sidebar in the Kindred of the East Companion. They are called Canubijin. And they are usually descendants from the societies of the Middle Kingdom that have ventured elsewhere. But sometimes somebody with no connection to any of the Asian cultures will also spontaneously rise and take the second breath. Most of the time, these creatures end up being destroyed by whatever they end up coming across. So whether like a Sabbat pack, werewolf, even Camarilla, whoever finds them, because they are going to be insane, in frenzy, eating people. So anything
that's a Masquerade
supernatural-
violation.
Yeah, so anything else supernatural in the area is going to put them down. So with but now there are more situations where one of them will last long enough that they kind of snap out of that state, and they can kind of muddle through minor bits of enlightenment. It's actually a flaw you can take if you're making a Kindred of the East character, that you are a Canubian, and the relationship there, you can eventually learn a Dharma. You can... there are concerns that if they fell into the wrong hands, they might be able to learn a path of enlightenment from Kindred. And that idea terrifies the Coasian because of the fact that would be, to them, that would be just as bad as them becoming infernalists. So, but yeah, it is possible for them to spontaneously rise. I'm seeing lots of questions pop up here, so let's...
awesome.
Before we get to...
Okay,
what was Mr. Donnie?
The bone flowers real quick. I just want to go back to the bone flowers real quick.
Okay.
The reason why they cultivate those families and protect them is because of the fact that Eastern wraiths can get pathos from sacrifices from their living families.
Yes.
It's actually a background that they can get. So there's an actual practical reason why the bone flowers will protect the mortal families of ancestors, is because, hey, look, this is still a source of pathos, so it's not just emotional ties, it's not just simply a case of, oh, we're doing this because it's good and nice to protect families. No, they're doing this because the wraiths go, yeah, if you do this, I can be empowered, so please do this for me.
Okay, so I'm gonna segue to deal with some of these questions that are kind of got fired off.
Let's.
And because I can talk about this shit that they're asking anyway, like all day long. So, so the absolutely zero relation between the Coasian and Kindred, or is there a possible connection? So the only known connection between the two is Zaulat the Traitor, also known as Salu, founder of Salubri, founder of Tremere, possible founder of Bali. In Kindred mythology, Salu went to the east. He spent time there. He came back. He had a third eye.
Opening of the third eye.
And he started talking about Golconda. In Kindred of the East lore, Zaulat was a barbarian from the west who came, studied with the Grand Arhat, and eventually betrayed him and fled back to his homelands. He did leave some of his children behind. So there are some of Salubri bloodline in the east. Depending upon who they interact with, deals with their survivability. Some of the Coasian see them as Akuma, infernalists, and destroy them on sight. Some of them understand that they may not be able to be enlightened, but they are not necessarily corrupt, and allow their presence. But and the idea that Salu stole the Obia power from the Asians is the running story on both ends. However, it's actually not the case. If you take a look at what Obia and Valeran give for abilities, it is nothing at all alike at the lower levels to the Coasian discipline that gives you the third eye. Okay. At higher levels, they have more similarities, but at lower levels, there's not a lot in common.
By the way, hi, Jaron. He's one of the players for the new Chronicle I'm running.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in Coasian lore, their assumption is that Zaulat is is the first Kindred. They don't know who Cain is. They think Zalot the Traitor is the first
progenitor,
for the Western. So they think that all the other Western vampires they've encountered must be his children because they have similarities. And he was an asshole, so they're all going to be assholes too. There's other reasons that they don't get along well with Cainites, but we can delve in that later too. So wondering about the origins. So there is no Cain of Kuasian. The 1K, way back in prehistory, in the first age, were basically, more or less, I guess you could call them angels. They were agents of heaven, overseeing mankind. And the Yama Kings, when they fell and were corrupted, then the battles that resulted from that, the Wan Kuei also themselves became corrupted, as they were starting to steal life energy from mortals to get more power to fight the Yama Kings. And they were punished. The Second Age rolled around, and now they were more powerful than they were today, but they were essentially the original Kuei-jin. And they discovered that they could only replenish their numbers when a mortal would come through. And eventually, as the ages have progressed, it's required more and more corrupt mortals to become a Kuei-jin, until nowadays you basically have to have either died under exceptionally bad situations, or you were such a sinful asshole in life that you went straight to hell when you died, and somehow you managed to break yourself free. So there's not really a single originator. We did discuss the Grand Arhat earlier, who was the first one known to have reached supreme enlightenment and gotten back into heaven.
The what is it? Achieved the 100 clouds.
Yes.
Which I guess is their version of Gehenna. And just as a side note, Jared was asking about Gehenna or Golconda. It's a spiritual enlightenment for Western kindred. It supposedly allows them to no longer have to drink blood. They become supremely enlightened, and they just sort of hang out. And ponder the imponderables. That's kind of the whole thing behind what the Nkanu are trying to fish out, spread, but not, because nobody talks about them. They don't exist. So,
not appearing in this splat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, let's just get. We've got one more main Dharma here to work. The Thousand Whispers.
Yes, Thousand Whispers. How can we describe this?
They will be everybody eventually.
Yes.
Cultivates enlightenment by adopting and then progressively discarding identities, living dozens or hundreds of lives.
Yeah, you could think of it as kind
Sometimes
of like the path of, kind of like a version of the path of metamorphosis. But instead of you like changing bits and pieces of your appearance, you're basically changing who you are. Your personality, your life, your existence, your appearance, everything about these things. You'd live a lifetime as, an everyman, and then you'd live a lifetime as a salaryman. You'd live a lifetime as a single mother. You'd live another lifetime as, a member of another Dharma. You'd live another lifetime as, maybe another supernatural creature, for all you know. It depends entirely on what you think that what experiences in that particular life that you can take from it, and you take those lessons and then you discard that life entirely.
So they have they sometimes will have like one primary identity, and then they might have like 2 or 3 side identities that they do on occasions. Your primary identity might be a single mother, but once every other weekend, maybe you've got a college student that you pretend to be in the big city and go out and party on the weekend with the other college students. And maybe you've got an online personality of a 75-year-old retiree who does that sort of thing, online gaming or whatever.
I was going to say they are basically a Dharma that is focused around LARPing.
Yeah, and they don't they just like the Thresh, but they don't just change the physical form. They will change their personality. They actually have a ritual where they use the Chiu Mu discipline, where they will actually replace somebody's life. So they will actually take somebody's soul and absorb, so that they can fully get their memories and personality, that person's life, for them.
You keep cutting out, by the way.
Okay, well, what do you do?
That's true. Yeah, Zonalo keeps asking Ming Zhao in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines.
Can somebody describe her? Because
it's when you go to Chinatown. I can't.
Oh yeah.
And I have no clue.
Yeah, for her,
she did strike me as a resplendent crane, just because she was all about Kuei Jin first. We're going to be better than you. We're going to be more awesome than you. You're just kindred. Go away.
Yeah, I could go with that. Though there is all the disciplines I kind of saw her say. I think she must have had at least flesh in type 5. Just for that shape shifting ability. Either flesh type 5 or yang prana 4. Or maybe both of them.
Yang prana is so nasty even early on. Hey, I go first.
Manipulative, untrustworthy asshole. So she's a vampire. Thanks to it.
Yeah, way to go. Okay, we've mentioned this term a number of times so far. I think we should go ahead and define it for the listeners. Arhat.
Basically, it's a equation. An Arhat is basically an equation who has attained their Dharma rank of 10. They are thoroughly enlightened. They are basically the equation equivalent of the Methuselah or an antediluvian.
Except they're achievable in the course of the game.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I don't.
You have to live for like frickin' long time to be one.
Yeah.
And be very lucky with your Dharma levels.
Yes. And yes, it does come from the Buddhist term. A perfected person who has achieved nirvana.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's another Buddhist term getting ready to come up here. Bodhisattva.
Well, that's almost our head. That's where you're at.
That's if somebody stops in their path to educate others, like Buddha.
They're just like one step away from enlightenment. They haven't quite said Om 3 Ramadan quite enough for them to really achieve the 100 clouds just yet. I mean that well, in some cases it might be literal, in some other cases it might be figurative. You don't know. I've never actually reached that part.
They've counted 99.99% of the pieces of sand on a beach.
Yes, they have 99. They have 99 problems, but they haven't achieved the one which will get them to the 1,000 clouds.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Now that we've covered those two terms, one of the there's a couple of minor details here that before I shift pages on you. We've already covered the 100 clouds. They don't, as far as the Kuei-jin are concerned, they don't have a masquerade at all. They can use their shit in public, no problem.
No, not really.
Yeah,
they refer to scarlet screens.
Oh yeah.
And they do kind of. Basically, what it comes down to is there's a web or a network around them that they would trust to be able to do stuff in front of, subtle things, because there's in theory, in the setting of the game, there are more people who are superstitious and religious that would accept such actions if they would witness it. But you will not see two Kuei-jin in full Demon Shentai form duking it out in the middle of a mall. They are not suicidal. They still have hunters and other things that they have to be careful of.
Yes, and most mortals in the Middle Kingdom would see something like that and think it's just too inauspicious to ignore.
Yeah.
And then they basically have to call, the Middle Kingdom's equivalent of Ghostbusters. and I mean the original 80s version, not the feminist version, which happened recently.
What was that, Donnie?
I was saying, or they call in Strike Force Zero, or or they let the rumor mill go out to the local she, who will then come out and whoop people's asses.
Or the Hakan Oyabun will show up and basically start getting what was his name? Beat Tanaka on everyone.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, it mentions that their disciplines in general tend to be a bit more flashy than Kindred's.
A lot of them are.
I mean, some of them are really, really useful, even at the lower levels. Others, they do take a little while to build up, but once you get to a certain point, they can be equally as powerful, maybe a little bit more powerful, but it's just building to that point, which takes up a lot of XP. I've always said that the fifth dot of Blood Shintai it can be really, really fun if you're really creative.
Yeah, just to tell you how rough it is, they have 0 in-clan disciplines. Everything is 8 XP times current level.
Yeah. Ooh, that's expensive.
Yeah, you don't get a bonus. On the plus side, though, Black Wind is basically celerity and potence put together.
Yes.
Also,
that's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Also, on the plus side, it's easier for you to learn new disciplines because Kuei-jin society is kind of built where the elders, they kind of want you to learn disciplines if you want. They do require a bit of patience in studying them, especially some of the ones which are like soul disciplines. But it's a lot easier for you to learn new disciplines compared to Western.
Yeah, because they're pushing an agenda of learning. They're always pushing you to become better than what you are right now, so you can achieve that enlightenment.
Even though their methods for that particular getting better, quote unquote.
but they will sit there and they're very generous about going, so I know Dragon Tears. I'll teach it to you if it'll help you along your path.
Ooh, here's a fun one. Hell weaving.
Oh, that's not a fun one.
That's not a fun one.
I love the name anyway.
That is also heretical.
Yes. That is more infernalist than Daimoinen. That is you are directly calling up the Yama Kings and saying, I will give you my soul and services. What can you give me so that I don't die?
Yes, that particular. If you were to use that set discipline, I do believe that one would have to call the Devil Tigers.
Yeah,
and they love dealing with Akuma.
They would love to explain to you exactly why you made a wrong choice somewhere in your past.
Yes.
Ooh, that's fun. I'm sorry, I'm really getting into this particular Razor Winds. Where you're actually opening up a portal into the Yomi world.
Yeah. Yep. But
bad.
It's you know what? Actually, if you want good reading, you should get the Thousand Hells book because it actually is set up for, hey, if you want to take your party of Kuei-jin into hell, this is what they have to deal with, and it's actually got some really cool stuff in it.
Yeah, I'm a particularly big fan of the Hell of Upside Down Sinners.
Sorry, what was your question, Donnie?
No, I was just going to say that they actually. What I like about Thousand Hells is it says, "Okay, guys, if you really, 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 really want to play an Aqua, here are the rules."
Here are the rules. Realize you're fucked.
Yeah.
But go down swinging.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna cherry pick some of these here.
Sure.
The Balefire Shintai.
Oh,
Yeah, that's part of
Ghostling.
that's part of the
Ghostling.
Scorpion Eaters.
Yeah.
The Scorpion Eaters basically are working to corrupt everything that exists. That's why they have corrupted versions of the 5 General Shintai. Hell, they literally have a ritual that, when enacted, will corrupt Dragon Nest and all dragon lines connected to the Dragon Nest, and it's literally called shitting down the dragon's neck.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez. How much fun is that?
So that's a Dharma that basically made a pact of non-aggression, non-interference with the Yama Kings. They said, we don't want to serve you as a Kuma, and we know you're going to win the fight. So if we stay out of your way, will you leave us alone? And that was kind of a no-brainer for the Yama Kings. So they're like, sure, we'll show you a ritual that lets you feed off of corrupted chi, so that you can go to places like Fukushima and Hiroshima and feed off the dragon nests there, and go have fun, live your life.
Yeah, it's free labor for the Yankees.
Yeah. So
Now, knowing what I do know about most Eastern legends, here we go. I'm going to bring back a very controversial topic here. Artifacts, magical shit.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's a background you can take at character creation.
So you can do a 6-demon bag. Come on, he started it.
Yeah, I will say that is a very fun background to have, especially if you have some. One of my favourite artifacts. Well, there's two. It's about like maybe 2 or 3 favourite artifacts that I have. Number one is the. Well, Jacob, you'll probably remember this one. The Shade Electric Banknote.
Yeah,
Yes!
Shady Electric
Oh,
Banknote.
God,
I love that.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, what?
It's basically like a credit card or a debit card that lets you buy up to like, what is it, $1,000 a day or something like
No,
that.
it's just something like $2,000.
$2,000 a day, but the money doesn't come from anywhere.
You just
So you just go and you pay it, and the place that you're paying, they receive the money, but it doesn't come from anywhere.
It just
just
is there.
manifests.
It's just magic money that you just create and is untraceable.
Worst mistake ever in that game from Kyoto is when Jacob's Devil Tiger Mandarin gave my Thrashing Dragon a Shady Electric Banknote. Right in the middle of his own whorehouse as well.
Oh, lovely.
Well, it was great though, because then when Jason's Thrashing Dragon went into Shadow Soul, his Poe went on a shopping spree and sent a whole bunch of presents to herself to troll her hun. So
Yes. Would you like to elaborate on something?
So, okay, I'm cherry picking again.
Yep.
God Body of Metal.
That's actually.
Yep. So that is now Bone Shintai. That is so the God Body disciplines were the Dark Ages versions. Of
Oh, okay. All right.
So and I also have Blood and Silk. I don't have.
Well, it looks like at one point you become Colossus.
Yes. But because Yin is the chi of death, but it's also linked with metal. So it used to be you had all these powers about metal, and then now it's all about bone.
Ah, okay.
Remember, Peter, everyone had said earlier that yes, the Kuei-Jin disciplines are a lot more flashy.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting. I'm getting that impression.
There's
about this
the flesh
about,
Sentai, for example. You can stretch your. There's a illustration in the book of Flesh Sentai, which is some dude stretching his neck out 3 feet long.
Yeah.
Oh, now that would be disconcerting.
Well,
Just
so
saying.
Flesh Sentai.
That isn't something you're going to see in a Wu-Tang album.
Right.
That's how you get Penangolins. Is they use Flesh Sentai to remove their heads, and then they use another discipline to allow for flight. Also, in one of the supplements, one of the tips it gives you is if you know Flesh Sentai, they say remove your hand, give it a grenade, and then ship it to somebody. And then when they open the box, have your hand pull the pin.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
They're like, it'll
make sure
hurt
to
like
give
a
them-
son of a bitch, but it's a good way to make sure the bomb goes off.
Yeah, and then some.
You can also give them a middle finger, right at the
Yeah,
middle. And it
right
goes,
as it happens.
Yes, fuck you.
Pull it. Yeah, Flesh Sentai lets you pull a Deadpool.
Oh, okay. All right. Prayer eating.
Oh, that's a great one because
It's a heretical discipline, but yes.
Yeah.
It is.
So this an
You have your-
East Irma.
Go ahead, let Donnie go, man.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say you'll form a cult to really take effect for prayer eating. You'll form a cult, and then you can actually gain power from their prayers, and you can actually answer their prayers.
Yeah.
Ah, that could be fun.
Yeah.
And then some.
Yeah. Oh, it can, and you can actually, with that discipline, you also don't need to actually feed off of people because you can gain chi from their prayers if you succeed on the rolls and stuff.
Yeah, if you get to a higher level, it's something.
Yeah, it looks like it's a bodhisattva level shit.
So level 4 is where you eat the prayers.
Yeah.
Where you gain chi from the those praying. So
Yeah, prayer eating. Here's what it says. But it was just among these. Now that one's I cannot even pronounce. Queen Kunsk.
Yeah,
that's
basically
the Chinese court.
It says largely bodhisattvas and elder mandarin magicians seem to be use these, even though apparently it's a heretical discipline.
Yeah, well, prayer eating is part and parcel with the Dharma, face of the gods.
Face of the gods.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So it does get shared a little bit amongst outside of that area, but they're mostly from the Indian subcontinent.
Oh, okay. All right, moving on.
Since there aren't any Indians in Kyoto, I don't get to play one.
Nope.
Sorry, what did you say there, Pete?
Sue.
Sue.
Oh, that's
Is that from Nibisham?
No. I know that one.
no, it's one of the.
It's one of the soul disciplines.
Oh, it's a soul discipline.
Yeah, it's a soul discipline.
Hang on, I remember that one.
Yeah, it's from the companion.
Oh, yeah. Oh, why did that? That's the one that's based around like
Astrology and horoscopes.
Oh yes, that is basically kind of like a look type spells and everything like that.
But you also get to so Kuei-jin have a background called horoscope, which basically gives you lucky numbers. And
Yeah, a lot of their whole mythology is based around that kind of thing.
And so that gives you like bonuses to rolls or re-rolls or in some situations. Zhu amplifies that. It really works well for people that have the horoscope background, though anybody can still use it. But you and it also touches. We mentioned earlier when we were talking about Dampiers, Joss. So weaving Joss.
Joss weaving. That's level 2.
Yeah, and that's affecting the forces of fate in favor or against a single person.
Yeah, for a very short period of time, it says. Yeah. Actually, at one point, I mean, this Fate of the One, the ability to read the destiny of a single person and advise him accordingly. And if that individual follows the instructions, luck will favor him.
Yeah.
That's really cool for a first level thing.
Right.
You know?
And it's not too flashy. It's something you could do.
Yeah.
It doesn't even cost a chi. You could just sit there and just do that for mortals.
Yeah, let me see your hand, kind of thing. Now, at level 5, this one's cool. The realigning the stars.
Yeah.
Resetting the entire horoscope of someone.
Yes.
Can I just mention
you can effectively give them the horoscope
background for the night.
Okay, but go ahead,
Jay.
Can I just say one discipline which probably blows most of these ones? I mean, it's not quite as flashy as, some of the Shintai disciplines, but can I...
Go ahead.
If the one discipline I have to say is probably the most useful, to me anyway, it's obligation.
Oh, God.
It combines the best of equivalents of dominate, presence, dementation, all
blood bonds.
Just the one...
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Let me put it this way: just the first dot allows you to read someone, learn their history, learn who they are as a person,
discern their weakness.
Yeah, just what?
It gets pretty freaking sick if you've got a master. From a storyteller perspective, if you've got players who are masters of obligation, just the first 2 dots can really complicate plot lines. Because there's so much that they can get out of somebody just from interacting with them.
Yeah.
Like
On the other hand, it can also it can be abused as well for some nefarious purposes.
Okay. At 4 dots, the 1,000 hell stare. Holy crap.
The scariest part is in 3 turns, you can give someone a level 3 blood bond that is literally unbreakable.
Damn.
That is only at the 5th dot, however. But
that's the soul shackles.
Yeah. The second, to be fair with you, you could get away with just having the first 2 dots. I mean, the third one's okay, but
authority doesn't see it's okay, but it isn't all. It isn't as great as the stuff before it and after.
Yeah.
But that 1,000 hell stare, man, that shit looks scary. Because he could use that on anybody. Mage, hunter, kindred, didn't matter. And projecting all of that negative nastiness at somebody.
You're giving them the evil eye, as my ancestors used to do.
Yeah. Corrupt the will? Now, is willpower... I guess willpower is a
it's a thing, yeah.
It's a thing for the Kwaijin?
Yeah. You have to start with 5 willpower.
Oh.
So your starting willpower is equal to your starting Hun, but at the end of character creation, your willpower has to be minimally 5. Because if your willpower isn't 5, your soul wasn't strong enough to break through hell.
Oh, okay.
So you either have to raise your Hun or raise your willpower on its own with your freebie points, but at the end of character creation, you have to have a willpower of 5.
Have I missed any questions? No, it looks like I got it.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be going good in the channel. Equilibrium.
That's mainly about balance.
Balancing your chi.
But isn't that the whole point behind Kwaijin, the whole balance thing?
No. Well,
no.
I mean, at once you reach the 100 clouds kind of thing.
No. It's more enlightenment is more about chi levels.
Imbalance is almost guaranteed for 4 of the dharmas.
Yeah.
4 of the 5, huh?
Yeah, the 1,000 Whispers is the only one that really is trying to keep all his virtues balanced. The Devil Tigers usually end up imbalanced to Po. The Resplendent Cranes usually imbalanced to Hun. And the Bone Flowers imbalanced to Yin. And the Thrashing Dragons imbalanced to Yang. And sometimes it could be more so. So you could have a Devil Tiger who could be imbalanced to both Po and Yang, and has the complications of both imbalances. So yeah, but equilibrium helps you temporarily handle some of the problems with being imbalanced.
Can I just say that Devil Tiger that's imbalanced to Yang and Po is going to have some they're going to have some serious explaining to do when they end up having like a subpoena for alimony payments for damn peas.
Yeah.
Now at 8 dots, equilibrium, opening the gates. Now that's it sounds way too fun, and then I read what it does, and I'm like, ugh.
It's very unlikely that you'll ever get.
Yeah, ever get that high, because most of those games no longer become fun once everybody's elders.
Those are games that you would have to play out, like how everyone talks about. Oh, I'm gonna play Dark Ages into modern day. For you to have your Kuei-jin get up to 6, 7, 8, 9, you would have to do something like that. Play it out in bits and pieces over the centuries.
You would have to be 500 years old to get to level 8.
Yeah.
With the Chi Arts.
Oh, okay.
Actually, Danilo did raise up a good question about thinking that Western Kuei-jin can easily infiltrate Kindred society. This is a good one, you guys. I already know the answer to this.
Go for it, man.
It could. The big complication with that would be infiltrating Kindred society. So by Western Kuei-jin, I'm assuming you're just talking about like people not from Asia who died and became Kuei-jin in Asia. I'm assuming, or it could be from the Anu, the indigenous Caucasian culture in Japan. So people who don't look Chinese, Japanese, Thai, Korean. I'm assuming that's what you mean by
Mongolian.
Yeah,
Dang Mongolians! I would drop my shitty wall.
There would be complications trying to infiltrate Kindred society, because there would have to be very careful to hide the different physical differences between the two. For instance, Kuei-jin can't automatically grow fangs, so if you're feeding with somebody else, you have to tap into your Po to grow fangs, which then puts you at risk of going into Shadow Soul and your Po taking over.
Yeah.
Which could complicate your infiltration.
Yeah, and then there's also the added difficulty of not knowing what Elysium is and what the secret handshakes and everything like that. The protocol. Basically, even if that were possible, they'd stick out like a sore thumb.
Well,
and
wouldn't
ever in a situation where somebody has to feed from you or taste your blood, like for Tremere's using a ritual.
Yeah.
The game would be up because Kuei-jin don't actually
have blood, really.
Have blood.
Yeah.
If they are yin imbalanced, they have black sludge, and if they're yang imbalanced, they have gas going through their veins. It's very obvious if somebody tries to, because they won't be able to do it. So if you ever get bitten by a Western kindred, they will know that you are not a...
Yeah. But using Suwei, it sounds like you could learn the secret handshake using that.
The storyteller's provocative.
Yeah.
Gold.
Or you could use Chiumu to eat the soul of a kindred and get their memories, and then try to hijack them.
Or the broken power of observation.
Yeah, because I was about to say, when they sit there and they go, "Hi, so what clan are you?" I'm
from the clans of the sun.
Yeah.
What?
Ventoru.
Well, they could fake being Tremere fairly easily if their disciplines are that flashy, because most kindred have no idea what kind of thaumaturgy is possible.
You think the local Tremere would not do a background check?
That may be yes.
No, the Tremere. I'll say that I'll admit that the Tremere do. No, I'm not even going to admit that. No, just no.
Just no.
They'd be better off just saying that they were clanless and just taking.
Yeah, Kaitif and go running with it.
I was about to say that they could sit there and go, I'm Shimashade.
Ah.
That's why I'm standoffish from you and weird and alien in a way.
And I could do really cool things that Judah can't do.
Yeah.
That cool shit nobody's ever heard of, apparently. But okay, let's Mibasham.
That's not a really common discipline. I think it's like only practiced by Indian. Malaysian.
The direction and the way. I think I can never remember their name.
The inward way.
The eye button.
Inward focus. Inward focus.
Oh yeah, 10% inward focus. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Crazy, crazy Thai names.
Right. Yeah. Most of this stuff doesn't. It gives me more of a Indian Pakistani feel as opposed to.
Yeah.
So as a follow-up to we were talking about infiltrating Western, Jaren in the chat had a question about the fifth Dharma, the Thousand Whispers, could live life as a kindred. Yes, that is possible.
Wow.
How do they move between? It's possible. I'm not saying that it's been done frequently or successfully. There are rumors that both the Giovanni and Tremere have Kuwagen imprisoned in their respective.
Yeah, I can believe that, especially amongst the Tremere.
That they have caught trying to do that. So, however, so how do they move between lives? So, initially, they learn between makeup and dress code and everything like that. They just change the way they look, and they go for just trying to start a new life. If they're trying to replace a specific life, they would need flesh and tie to physically change their appearance, and either obligation or chiu mu to be able to get memories and thoughts from the person that they're replacing before they kill them. And then when they're done with a life, they actually have a ritual they do where they actually hold a funeral for themselves. And that's their way of saying goodbye to that life, and then they never look back. They don't do that life again. They don't try that again at all.
So long, gay boys. Motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Zanalo, as far as I know, there is a cabal of Kwaijin in San Francisco. So, and I think...
Yeah, we covered this earlier, didn't we?
Yeah, but no, that was also part of the vampire bloodlines. I don't know if any of that crap is canon, to be honest.
Yep. So
that was
canonically,
that is the new promised mantra.
Yes, they had the Great Leap Outward, where basically all of the Kuwagen said, you know what? We're sick and tired of all this British and American imperialism for the last 2 centuries. Fuck you guys.
Fuck you.
We're gonna do some imperialism ourselves. Yeah, and they basically went and invaded the west coast of the United States and Canada.
Seattle. I was just looking. Seattle and San Francisco, and there is a small cabal somewhere in Los Angeles.
Seattle, Los Angeles,
Vancouver.
Yeah,
he said Vancouver.
So they basically went to the anarch-free states, where there wasn't as much organization as the Camarilla, and they went in and beat them into submission, and basically said, "Here's what we're going to do," because they realized that they actually aren't going to be able to actually conquer those areas. They said, "Here's what we're going to offer you guys. We will let you coexist with us. We will have this new promise mandarinate where you technically are in control of your destiny, but you kind of serve us, but you kind of coexist. But we're just gonna tell everybody we're in control, but we're kind of going to hope that you don't realize we're not." And they kind of had that going on for a while.
Yes.
Anyhow, and I do get your point, Zonalo, about how the Great Leap Outward was kind of like the Yellow Peril bullshit of the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s and whatnot. Myself, I liked the idea of the Great Leap Outward, specifically the New Promise Mandarinate, simply because it gave more of an opportunity to incorporate Kindred of the East in a traditional vampire setting. You had the opportunity where you could have Kindred and Kuei-jin technically working together, you could have a Wu coterie of both species, and to me that opens up more opportunity for role-playing than we would have even in Hong Kong, where there's kind of a détente between the two groups as well.
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, the Chantry in Hong Kong's been under siege for a very long time.
Yeah.
The only way in or out's through the Shadow Gallery.
Yeah.
Now that
something
Jacob, I was going to say, sorry, carry on.
No, I'm sorry. I was going to state that Jaron brought up a question about Native Americans, all that. No, but Kindred of the Ebony Kingdom kind of cribbed together between Kindred of the East with their dueling virtues of yin and yang, and still tried to keep it similar to Cain and Cainite Kindred, to try to mishmash the two together. Is there something official? No. If you want to homebrew it, that's what Kindred of the Ebony Kingdom kind of looks like to me, is that somebody wanted to take the best parts of Kuei-jin and Kindred and throw them together.
I assume that with the new stuff is going to be a big change as far as that's concerned.
Okay, well, before I get into that, so I will add on to what Donnie was saying, is that, Jaron, I would say, I would think that the Ebony Kingdom source book would be much more useful for trying to do a pre-colonial North America or Central America or South America, because I think that it incorporated a lot of those concepts, and you would just want to fine-tune with whatever specific culture that you were role-playing at the time. But yeah, I would check it out. It's a really good thing. And then for what you were saying about the new stuff, Peter, they've actually officially ruled they are not doing anything at all with Kindred of the East, unless they have anybody from Asia who
writing
is
it,
wanting to, but not just writing it. Basically, the way they have worded it, it sounds like they basically are going to start from scratch.
Yeah, well, they would put out a call in Africa for folks from particular area to write.
We discussed that too, but as far as it appears now, BNS and Onyx Path have both basically said if there's demand for it, they'll look into it. But White Wolf, when they're talking 5th edition, they have no interest in picking up where Kindred of the East left off. It sounds like they're basically going to just start from scratch.
Considering all the stuff that I've heard that Zach S. person is trying to put into 5th edition, that actually surprises me. But then again, my argument for that is why not just contact someone like Hideo Kojima to make Kindred of the East.
Yeah.
Right.
Get somebody who knows the myth.
There is one thing I wanted to bring in just for the conversation. One thing which we haven't touched on, as far as unique Kuei-jin background is concerned, the Nishi background. The one which is basically their totem. The Wus, each Wu, or pack, as it were, Kuei-jin pack.
Yeah.
Each of them have, not all of them have them, but the best, ideally, ones will have a Nishi, like a yin or a yang spirit, which basically acts as kind of like a totem for them and gives them benefits as well as an additional ally. I can only speak from experience, but the one which Jacob created for the Akiba Zaibatsu, which is the Wu which I was playing in Kyoto with about 3 or 4 other people. We were a business Wu. Basically, I think you derived most of it from Cockroach, didn't you?
No, actually, I have. Oh, I just pulled her right out of my ass. Mostly.
I just figured
that's the way a lot of shit works out when you're STing, man. It really does. You just got to make shit up on the fly, because you know, the players have completely ruined any plot line you started. That's just the way that works. So you got to be able to, and you got a good storyteller can come up with good shit on the fly. Not always, but most of the time.
Yeah. There isn't a lot written in the core book about niche spirits, but it does provide two examples. But you know, I suppose you could technically, if you wanted to, like transplant somebody like werewolf and shapeshifter totems. You know, just like twist a few things around, like change some things, and just create them for your games. It's literally limitless possibilities, and you know they don't have to be like Incarna level. Especially to begin.
Go ahead. I was going to answer a question if you're finished.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Jaren, you were asking about the Kwaijin and the different sizes of populations. Chances are there are more Kindred than there are Kwaijin.
They are found in the same ratio, mortal to vampire, as the Kindred are.
Really?
Yes. That's in the revised...
I see what you just said there. Yeah, you're right. Higher population.
Handbook. They specifically, because that was one of the free FAQs at the beginning of the Storyteller book in the revised, and they said it's the same ratio. They're like, the population can be replaced faster with Kindred, but the Camarilla clamps down on population.
Yes.
The Masquerade. The Sabbat churn out, but they also have
cannon fodder.
Mortality rate, so their overall numbers don't change a lot. The highest population density centers in the world and high population cities and high population countries are the ones of the Kuwaijin. So they can't replenish their numbers as well, but they have usually end up with a longer functional lifespan, and they also have a larger pool to choose from. So they said essentially they end up with roughly the same population density.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense, as Jaren pointed out. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way when I tried to answer that.
That's the official canon answer.
That's an awesome sauce, yo. So, I've finished cherry picking the disciplines. Does anybody have any cute tidbits like the game that you guys were playing, as you've brought up more than one occasion? Anything fun happen?
Oh yes, a lot of fun things happen. From my own personal experience, if you're going to be creating a Kindred to the East game, just think of it in the same...
Okay, you broke off there, dude.
Here's a few other lovely things. We have mentioned it a few times, but we never got around back to it. Our Dampier.
Hold on, yeah.
Oh yes, Dampier. Yeah, Dampier. Well, you probably noticed by now that Kwaijin, they cannot rise. You rise from the dead. They also... Alright, man?
Yeah, I just set my microphone down and then my leg dragged it. I'm letting you guys cover for my bio break.
Okay, so obviously by proxy the Kwaijin cannot create ghouls. They can't create mortal servitors. That's not to say that they can't manipulate mortals into doing their bidding. But as far as like having semi-mortal retainers, the only thing that comes close to it are these creatures called Dampier, also known as the shadow children, or the half-dead children. They are made by either one Kwaijin who is yang imbalanced, or two Kwaijin who are yang imbalanced. What Kwaijin or mortals should I say? Obviously, if the Kwaijin is the one who is getting pregnant, they need to be yang imbalanced for the entirety of the pregnancy. But what they create is basically this half-human, half-vampire creature, which is known as a Dampier. they will live up until about maybe puberty, when they start to realise that they're a little bit different. They have this thing called Joss.
AKA luck.
Yes, luck. Yeah, luck. The Dampiers themselves, they can live as long as about maybe like 300 years old, maybe. As I recall.
Something like that, yeah. They're very similar to like a revenant for their base.
Oh,
strength.
okay, yeah.
And they have a lot of longevity. And aside from Joss, which we're going to get into a little more detail here, I assume.
Yes.
They do have the ability to learn disciplines, but only the first dot of a discipline. They can't learn. They can only learn demon arts or Shintai disciplines, I believe. They can't learn some of the more esoteric disciplines.
Yeah.
And their Po is awake. It's not the full force, terrifying monster that their parent has, but their Po is sentient enough to be able to whisper temptations to them. And if they strengthen their Po throughout their life, if their Po is strong enough when they die, they will automatically take the second.
Oh, okay. So they'll become full Kwai Jing.
Yes.
And they'd have a leg up because they already, they won't go into the same frenzy that most Kwai Jin. Oh, okay.
They still will. They just once they come out of it, they'll have a little bit more knowledge of things.
Yeah, enough to know that they really fucked up.
Yeah.
So the only way for them to strengthen their Po is basically they have to commit acts that would make you lose your one dot of humanity. So they would have to commit atrocities. Or
That's always fun.
Yes, and the only way that they can regain chi is through cannibalism.
flesh. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. They
or
can't drink blood.
No.
They can't drink blood. They have to eat flesh.
Eat flesh.
The other way they can strengthen their Po is if they're on death's door, they can call on their Po to keep them alive. And they basically go through a minor version of Shadow Soul Frenzy, but the Po takes over and keeps them from dying. But the Po gets stronger every time they do that.
Oh, okay.
However, Joss is really the fun thing. With
Yes!
All right, let's do that. Since we've been
Okay, so
doing the whole.
I'll let Donnie yap on this.
Yeah, Donnie, go for it.
I love it. Okay, so you have your passive Joss, which is basically luck designed to protect you from harm. It can somebody is shooting at you. Oh, look! Just so happened to have your cigarette case, your metal cigarette case, just happened to be there, or the bullet didn't really hit any vital organs and it just passed right through to lessen the damage done to you.
Or the shooter coughs and his aim goes off.
Oh, yeah, right? Okay. So it's the manipulation of probability.
It is. It really is. And you got active Joss, which you can use to just choose the most...
Yeah, there was the Joss weaving. Which one of that one? Where was that?
No, this is an innate ability. It's not a...
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Abilities. But the most fascinating thing of all is Joss binding, where you can go, hey, my Joss kicks in whenever I'm doing drive or firearms or something like that.
Yeah, John Woo shit.
Yeah, the image of
Hop and chop
the image of a Dampier is the protagonist of any John Woo movie.
Hard-boiled.
I love it. Love it.
They just can do the most bizarre things that you sit there and when you look at it, you think logically, okay, the odds of that happening are near nil, but it's not something supernatural. It's just them.
It's just bad luck or good luck, depending.
Or good luck. Yeah,
Yes.
it's good luck.
Or they're
Yeah,
just really good at that particular thing.
Because doesn't Joss binding basically give them like bonus dice to any rolls involving that skill?
Yeah.
So they could
Wow.
Yes. So if they have a high enough humanity, they could bind like a +4 dice bonus to their firearms. And so if they've got really good dex and really good firearms skill to begin with, and then the luck kicks in, they can pull off stupid trick shots like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, and by the way, that the maximum that they can do is equal to their humanity.
Really?
Yes.
Now that's fucking weird.
Yeah. Joss binding. A really cool thing too is you could actually sit there and use Joss binding for your firearms, which is, as we all know, lethal damage. You go, no, it's ag.
Oh no! Damn! No! That's like having a pistol with dragon breath rounds.
Yeah.
That's fucking insane, dude.
Only it's not firing bullets. Like it's not firing bullets. It's you're just shooting at just the right spot for the damage.
The most, the most damage. Yeah. Oh, that's fucking cool, though.
Oh, and another thing that I really love too about Bound Joss is you don't lose it until you botch.
Oh, yeah, but does shit go
And then you're
sideways at that point?
Yeah.
Answer my question. Does shit go sideways at that point?
Only if you've got not got Destiny,
Yeah.
which is another background that you can have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
There
I
are
said.
plenty of ways to break the game.
Yeah.
Of course.
So Dompiers are usually children of thrashing dragons. Sometimes other dharmas will do it. Thousand Whispers, obviously. That's
Because it's all about.
Let's give a try to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly, there are some factions within the Bone Flowers that suggest that you should try it once, just for the experience,
Just for shits and giggles.
just to have the intellectual knowledge of what it's like. Devil tigers, especially female devil tigers, rarely have the patience for it. Like a devil tiger, yang imbalanced, he might leave Downpier offspring, but he's not necessarily going to keep track of it.
Right.
Female devil tigers don't have the patience to wait 9 months of spending 2 chi a day to keep up the child. So after 6 or 7 months, they might just cut it out themselves and see if it's strong enough to survive at this point. Devil tigers, though, have something else that they like to do, is they have 2 different types of servitors that they will use instead. One is called bakemono, which is basically they are binding bane spirits to a physical form.
Ooh. Oh, no.
And
Oh, no. That is so bad.
And then there is another thing they do where they bind a specific type of bane spirit to a fetus and allow it to be born. So it's basically an inherently evil Dampier without the Joss.
Oh.
Yes, as I recall, the Bakemono are basically Fomori, and the other one that you mentioned is basic. I think that in the Freak Legion book, they're known as like the Fecatori or something like that. They're
Yeah,
basically
something like that.
Yeah, Ferrectoid.
Yeah, Ferectoid.
But
Okay.
if you're playing or storytelling with Devil Tigers, Freak Legion is a very invaluable book resource to have.
It is.
Because they will use all the terrible things that Pentex does as well.
Oh, jeez.
And they'll do it better because they're supposed to, because they're supposed to be evil.
Yeah.
If you're going to be evil, be good at it.
I made an antagonist, Kuei Jin, who could sit there and look at someone and yank their soul out and grab a bane and shove it into the body, and then use obligation to go, oh look, and now you're bound to me.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, some of the, like I said, no wonder a lot of the folks back in the day wanted to play Kuei Jin when we were doing the role playing via forum. I can understand why also some of the rooms would not allow it. Be right there on your it'd be right there on the entrance page. No Kwajin.
I would say that you really need to make sure that they're role playing the Dharma, they're role playing the direction, their purpose. That you make sure that they're not just, especially if they're playing a Devil Tiger, that they're not just playing it so like they say about paths of enlightenment, the path of whatever the fuck I wanted to do anyway. Yes. Even the Scorpion Eaters, which their Dharma basically is whatever the fuck I'm going to do anyway, they still have some restrictions around what they would do and not do, or what they will put up with their comrades, that you really need to make sure that you're enforcing that roleplay aspect to counterbalance some of the insanity that they can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So...
and also consequences, always.
Yes, always consequences.
As we could probably get into it.
Well, yeah. Like,
well, we got 14 minutes left.
Well, you had asked earlier, Peter, about favorite experiences or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I enjoy now, I like playing Devil Tigers. I like playing Bone Flowers. I'm kind of curious about playing Thrashing Dragons because Jason and a couple of the others of the Woo were Thrashing Dragons, and it's just been I've seen them in a different light. But
you've seen them when they're played well.
What I enjoy about playing Kindred of the East is the dichotomy between the two souls. I like the fact that their beast is sentient, that you have internal conversations, that you have that opportunity for role play. I actually like the cultivation discipline where you're actually tapping into your pole or trying to get control of other people's pose. But one of my most favorite experiences, I got two favorite experiences of Kuei-jin. One, it was a post-apocalypse, post-Gehenna game that we were basically pick any splat you want, so I was a Kuei-jin, and I died a glorious death fighting the enemy. It was
good
awesome.
for you. But after Gehenna, I would think there would be more Kwai-jin because they're just not part of the whole. They weren't. They had no apocalypse really,
yes,
like the rest of them did.
Yes, they do. It's called the Sixth Age, and one of the options for the Sixth Age actually seals the gates of hell, so no more Kuei-jin can be created.
Oh, shit.
It's a really shitty deal. Thanks, Premier, by the way, because you're the fuckers responsible for that.
Yeah, of course we are.
Anyway,
we just fuck up shit everywhere we go.
But what I enjoyed was I had a character that, and we were in a game where there was Henga Yokai as well, and we could interact, and my character botched a roll that caused me to go into Shadow Soul for the rest of the night.
Oh no.
So some people would balk at that. They would maybe go AFK for a while. Not me. I role-played
went with it.
Shadow.
Good man.
And I purposefully got as many individuals as I could to do another scene with me. And we went for a wild car ride across the city into Henga-yokai territory, and I ended up getting eaten by a wereshark because I mouthed him off.
Oh, jeez.
But and everyone was stressed out, and people were like, "Oh my god!" and they're like, "Oh my goodness!" and I'm like, "This is awesome because this is what having a Poe is all about." Is you have to be ready to screw yourself over.
Yeah, and be happy that you can do it.
Yeah, and I'm like, and I liked the character. I didn't want him to die.
Yeah, but hey, if you're going to go out, go out.
If I'm going to die, I'd rather die.
Pull a whistler, man, every time.
I'd rather die from my Poe than die from some stupid.
Yeah, so just because you botched a die roll, that would just suck. 3 kinds of bad.
So,
a Roku, really?
Because of those experiences, that's what I'm curious about trying a Wraith game sometime, is because the idea that they have that dual soul as well.
Yeah, the shadow, that whole sentient beast, dark side, whatever you want to call it.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
And hey, I didn't want to. I wanted to. I hadn't spoken to you much because you were down with the illness, and I didn't want you to think I didn't want you to play in the game. If you want to play, dude, you're more than welcome, and you can play a Wraith if you'd like. We got room for one more.
I have my life is still not evened out to the point where I can make commitments for online gaming. And there's a couple of games that people would really like me to be able to join in, and I just
but I figure since this is a show-sponsored game, just saying.
Well, we can talk afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, because we need to
What's the other experience that you were?
Well, the other one was the post-Indiana one where I went out.
Oh, right.
Okay. Well, we've only got 9 minutes left. I wanted to cover a couple of things here.
Okay. Jaren has a quick question.
Okay.
Does a clay Jinn go back to hell when they die? Yes, they do, Jaren. And that is why they do not want to die, because they are permanently taken out of the cycle. They have no chance to come back.
To further that is when even if you are a servant of the Yozi and you go full on Akuma, if you die, you go back to hell where your master punishes you for dying in the first place, but they might eventually consider stop doing that and send you back out. Basically, you go in the penalty box.
Depending upon how useful you were before you died. Because if you were a useless Akuma, they're not going to send you back. You're just going to fail again. Yeah. There is a variant of Kuei-jin called Yulan-jin, where they come back in a different body and they body hop. Every time they die, they
always searching for the last leap.
Their soul gets weaker, and they come back in a different body. And eventually, after dying enough times, their soul vanishes because they don't have anything left to it.
Zonalo's got one quick question before we roll out. Vampire 5th Edition, Kindred have no souls? Is this true?
I've not heard that one way or the other.
It's 5th Edition. We don't talk about.
We don't talk about 5th Edition.
I haven't heard that, Zonalo. I didn't catch that in any of the releases that I've shared to our Facebook page.
Yeah, and his brother keeps up with shit.
That is possible. If that is possible, then
if that's possible,
that would change a lot of things.
Yeah, it changes a lot of things, and it's all the more reasonable.
Well, it makes
to Zach S's car and Slash's tires.
Yeah, it makes Golconda impossible.
Yes, and it negates a lot of things. So I don't know one way or the other, Zonalo.
Because there's a one for we have a thaumaturgy. I forget whether it's a ritual. It's called Soul Burn. You can actually wreck the soul of another kindred to the point where you can just force them into frenzy.
Yeah.
Which would suck a lot if you were if you were in a line of sight of whoever you did it to. Just saying. That would just not go well at all for anybody involved. So, okay, just to say this again, we're running a show-sponsored game not exactly sure how long it's going to last. It's just going to be down to... it's a relatively short chronicle. I'm not trying to, do no epic campaigns here. That's a good point, Zonalo. And so we would. The game is the chronicle is called The Path to Stygia. We're going to take some kindred into the Shadowlands and see how that works out.
I should definitely make either a mummy or a bone flower.
There you go. Shit. We've got a Wraith who's going to play Virgil. So, a Virgil, not and using the term Virgil as in Dante. And we've got 2 La Sombra and a Giovanni. So far. So this is we could fit one or two more folks in. I think if you're interested in playing, give us message us over on our Facebook page, and I'll get your information and we'll get you set up. I guess that's going to be, we got 5 minutes left. Anybody else got shit they want to plug?
Quick trivia, because we jumped right into their culture and their ability and stuff, but we didn't talk about some of the base differences. Be careful, don't try to stake Kindred of the East, because there's a really good chance it's not going to work.
Nope.
They'll look at you, but
If you're yang imbalanced, you can be staked by metal, but not by wood. If you're yin imbalanced, you can be staked by wood, but not by metal. If you're balanced between yin and yang, you can't be staked.
It's like, why did you do that? Now I have to replace this shirt. God damn it.
Right?
I like that shirt.
Yeah, we covered how the fact that they don't burst into flames.
They rot.
They rot. That's actually kind of cool.
And if you're yin imbalanced, fire doesn't do egg damage because your body's so naturally cold it resists the flames.
Oh, okay.
And just like if you're yang imbalanced, you can hang out in the sun for like 5 minutes times your stamina, I think it is, before you start risking damage.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway. Just stuff that was in the back of my mind a couple of times and never came up, so I thought I'd spit it out while we had 3 seconds.
Jason, you got anything?
Only to plug Kyoto by Night, The Second Breath, which at the time of this recording is in the process of being restarted. Jake, of course, is part of the venue, but real life is unfortunately getting in the way for him. But hopefully that won't be the case for very long, and he'll be able to participate as well as all the other ones.
And I will say that it's going to be great because I'm involved in it.
Oh, hell.
Of course. The only other thing I would suggest, Jacob, what would we say is the funniest, in the original Kyoto by Night, The Second Breath that we're part of, what would we say is our funniest or fun moment with a thrashing dragon, Pink Fox?
Oh, geez. You know what? Your thrashing dragon had a lot of situations that were I think. I don't know. It was
English people just have a way with humor. I'm not exactly sure why, but they do.
Well, okay, so her Poe trolled her by purchasing lingerie and other sexual devices like that. Some of them were serious, but some of them were disturbing and weird looking. And so it'd be like, at the end of the next 5 episodes we did, I would end it by, I'm like, oh, and this came in the mail to you today, and posted the picture up on the screen of what was in the box today.
Oh my God.
Yes, and my reaction was basically to say, oh God, my Poe is a cuntbot. In my usual British understatement.
Okay, guys, we are nearing the end of our time.
I'll give one last my personal funny favourite story when it comes to Pink Fox. Well, the funniest ones anyway. Obviously, Japan is a very conservative culture. She got my thrashing dragon got invited to an Omisoka party with politicians and police officers and everything. Keep in mind, this thrashing dragon is like a 5'0" pink-haired stripper. Everyone was there with their, all the traditional Japanese couples in there, and she basically went there with a gaijin woman who was, basically, she caused quite a bit of a stir there.
How bad?
Yes.
And we're gonna just the last question of the night. Speaking of the Kwai-Jin, so do they rot over time, or do they have more difficulty integrating into human society in general? And your answer was, Jake?
So yin imbalanced Kwai-Jin can over time have permanent rotting from sunlight aggravated damage or just becoming so imbued with death. it's a flaw that you can take at character creation if you actually want to start the game looking like a rotting corpse. However, there is also a merit they can take where you actually maintain your beauty despite your state. So you don't go full rotting corpse. You just kind of get more gaunt and dead looking, but you're beautiful at it. And actually...
Eternal cherry blossoms. You basically
Yes.
Like Death Becomes Her.
Yeah, you basically look like one of those visual Kai people.
And there is
You
a
look like an
Yama
extra
King.
from Alice Mizzer.
There's a Yama King who actually has a personal fetish for females with that merit. And he does his damnedest, literally, to try to get as many of them as possible to become Akuma and serve him in his realm.
He is basically the ultimate weeb.
All right. All right, guys, we're going to say goodbye for the night. We will be back on June 6th. We will be posting the subject of said here when I set up the schedule for the next stream. So I want to thank our guests tonight, Jason and Donnie. We'll have both of these guys back at some point. For what we try to get folks whose knowledge of this particular subject is better than some, because there's a lot of information in the world of darkness, and not everybody knows everything. There's just no fucking way. Even if you do have a library the size of some of those people put up book porn in the World of Darkness channels, showing their shelves and shit. I'm like, oh, I am so jealous. How the fuck did you get those?
I'm so happy that I actually have access to all my books now because I'm like unpacking.
Oh, right.
Books open and I'm like, all right, I gotta read this, I gotta read this, I gotta read this.
Yeah, it's so hard to find time with the family, right?
I don't sleep though. So
okay. All right, I want to thank our guests in the channel tonight, Zonalo and New Wave, and of course my friend Sabrina and Jaron. Thank you, and Jaron, I'll probably be speaking to you at some point soon. He's also one of my guild members from Final Fantasy 14 Online. I'm actually enjoying the hell out of that game. I really am. They really do. They're doing a really good job of crushing WoW. But that's an entirely different game, so we're not even going to talk about it. All right, guys. Good night, Jacob. Everybody, stay good night.
Sayonara.
Good night.
Sayonara.
Sayonara.